Welcome to the Path of Truth channel. I'm so glad you're here with us today, embarking on a journey of discovery, trust, and faith. This video will speak directly to your heart as we dive deep into understanding the powerful truth behind becoming chosen by God and how trusting Him transforms our lives. If this message resonates with you, please take a moment to like the video. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel so you can continue to receive content that helps you walk in the light of truth. Also, please share your faith in the comments by typing God. Let's create a space where we can uplift and encourage one another. In our journey of faith, we are reminded of the words from Proverbs 3:5, "Trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways submit to Him, and He will make your path." These verses call us to trust in God's wisdom above our own, recognizing that our limited understanding cannot compare to His infinite knowledge and plan. For when we surrender our plans to God, we are acknowledging that He is the ultimate guide, the one who knows the path ahead even when we cannot see it clearly. This surrender does not mean we abandon our dreams or desires, but rather that we place them in His hands, trusting that His purpose for us is greater than anything we could ever imagine. It is in surrender that we find peace, knowing that we are walking according to His will, just as Jesus said in Matthew 6:33, "But seek first His kingdom and His righteousness, and all these things will be given to you as well." When we align our lives with God's purpose, He takes care of everything else, leading us to a life of true fulfillment and peace. In the midst of the chaos and noise of the world around us, we are constantly being called to recognize something much greater than ourselves, the undeniable truth that we are chosen by the Creator of the universe. This divine selection is not rooted in our accomplishments, our social status, or what others may think of us. Instead, it comes from a deep, unshakable trust in God. When we acknowledge this truth, that we are chosen by the one who holds the universe in His hands, we are empowered to live with confidence and purpose, knowing that our lives are woven into a divine and perfect plan. Trusting God means aligning ourselves with that plan, even when we cannot see every detail or understand every twist and turn. Our lives are part of a larger tapestry, one that is being carefully and lovingly created by a God who sees our potential, even in those moments when we might doubt ourselves. The trials we face, the joys we experience, and even the struggles we endure all serve a purpose in His greater plan. And the beauty of trusting God is that He doesn't leave us alone in our journey. He walks with us every step of the way. And as we lean into that trust, we discover that He is opening doors to blessings far greater than we could ever imagine. The life we lead as chosen ones is not one of ease or absence of difficulty, but it is one of grace. This grace turns the ordinary moments of our lives into extraordinary experiences, and it helps us see the blessings that come from the simplest of actions. Every prayer, every whisper of faith in the stillness, every moment we trust in God, these moments build a bridge between our hearts and His, reminding us that we are never alone in our calling as chosen ones extends beyond us. We are meant to be a light in a world that can often feel shrouded in darkness. Our trust in God empowers us to rise above the challenges we face, to embody His love, and to share that love with others. We are called to be reflections of His grace and to encourage those around us to embrace the truth of their divine selection. As we do this, we create a community grounded in faith, courage, and the unshakable knowledge that we are chosen by God. When we trust God, we are not only transformed, but we also inspire others. We remind those around us of the incredible power found in placing our trust in the Creator. There is a beauty and strength in knowing that we are chosen, and that strength becomes a beacon for others to follow. So, as we continue on this journey of faith, let us not be passive, but let us boldly declare that our trust is in God, no matter the circumstances. The great C.S. Lewis, in his reflections on faith and trust, beautifully illustrated this truth in his works. In Mere Christianity and the Chronicles of Narnia, Lewis emphasized that our relationship with God is rooted in His love and grace, not our merit or our achievements. He believed that faith is not simply an intellectual agreement, but a transformative journey that enables us to see ourselves as chosen and to live authentically in alignment with God's will. Lewis wrote about how this divine selection brings with it a sense of purpose and a calling that transcends our individual lives. When we trust God, we tap into a power that goes far beyond what we can see or understand. But let me tell you, life is not always easy. We face battles, and sometimes those battles seem overwhelming. The enemy will try to strip us of our trust in God, because he knows that when we trust in Him, we are shielded from fear, doubt, and despair. When you trust in God, you stand firm, unshaken, like a tree planted by the river. The storms may come, the thunder may roar, but your faith will keep you anchored. You may not have control over your circumstances, but you know the one who holds all things in His hand. This is the beauty of trusting God. It's not just about believing in what we can see with our eyes. It's about trusting that even in the silence, even in the storm, God is working behind the scenes, orchestrating His perfect plan. You see, trusting God opens the door to peace, to favor, and to victory in ways we cannot always explain. When we are in the midst of life's chaos, we are reminded that our trust in God is not contingent on our circumstances. It's not about the bills, the illness, or the loss. It's about trusting in the God who holds our future and knowing that He is with us every step of the way. Trusting God doesn't mean life will be free of challenges. In fact, it's often the opposite. But when we trust Him, even in the hardest moments, we are anchored in a peace that the world cannot offer and that the world cannot take away. Even when everything around us is falling apart, we can still lift our hands and praise Him. When we praise God in the midst of our storms, we are declaring that our trust in Him is greater than our circumstances. We are choosing to trust in His power and His ability to turn things around. In Psalm 24, we are reminded that the earth is the Lord's and the fullness thereof. When we trust in God, we don't need to worry about the resources we don't have, because we know that He is the creator of everything. He is the one who owns the cattle on 1,000 hills, and He is the one who will provide for us. Even when things seem uncertain, we can take comfort in the fact that God is the God of a better tomorrow, a tomorrow filled with hope and provision. The Apostle Paul said in Philippians 4:19, "But my God shall supply all your need according to His riches in glory by Christ Jesus." We don't need to know how or when our needs will be met. We just need to know that the provider is faithful. Trusting God may not make sense to the world around us. People may wonder how we can still smile, how we can still have hope when everything around us seems to be falling apart. But what they don't understand is that our trust is not in it's in the God who sees everything, the God who sees all and who is working behind the scenes. Trusting God allows us to rise above the visible, above the tangible, and rest in the eternal promises He has made. Our faith becomes a defiant declaration that we will not be shaken, no matter the storm. We will not be moved by what we see or feel, because we know that our God is able to do exceedingly, abundantly more than we could ever ask or think. He is able to bring us peace, to make a way when there seems to be no way, and to turn our mourning into dancing. Consider the story of David, a man who had everything: a flourishing business, a thriving family, and an abundance of blessings, only to lose it all in an instant due to a sudden economic collapse. The pain of losing everything was unimaginable, and yet David continued to trust in God, praying for strength and guidance even when things seemed hopeless. As the months passed, God began to provide new opportunities for David, a new business venture that brought hope and a chance to rebuild. And just when things seemed to be improving, tragedy struck again with the illness of his wife. But instead of giving up, David deepened his trust in God, knowing that even in the hardest of times, God was still with him. Through his faith and perseverance, David began to see his life transformed. This story reminds us that when we trust in God, He will use every trial, every setback, every moment of pain to build us up. Even in the hardest times, God is at work, preparing us for something greater. Trusting God means understanding that our current situation is not our final destination, and that He will lead us through to victory. God is faithful, and when we trust in Him, everything changes. When you trust in God, you are walking in alignment with His perfect plan for your life. You may not see the whole picture right now, but I want you to understand that every single moment, every single season of your life is an opportunity for God to refine you and prepare you for something greater. The difficulties you face, the struggles you encounter, they are not there to break you. They are stepping stones to something higher, something more meaningful. And the more you trust, the more you will see God's hand moving in your life, even when the path ahead seems unclear. Remember, trusting God doesn't mean the absence of fear or uncertainty. It means choosing to stand firm in faith, even in the midst of doubt. It means choosing to believe that His promises are true, even when your circumstances try to tell you otherwise. The world may tell you to look at your problems, but God tells you to look at His promises. The more you focus on His faithfulness, the more you will see His hand in everything. Even the seemingly impossible situations are part of His greater purpose. I want you to know, chosen ones, that God has not forgotten you. When you feel alone, when the world seems to be spinning out of control, hold on to the truth that He is with you every step of the way. He has not abandoned you in your pain or your struggle. In fact, it is in these moments that He is drawing closer to you, offering you peace that surpasses all understanding. His love for you is immeasurable, and His plans for you are greater than anything you could ever ask or imagine. When you are faced with challenges, it's natural to feel overwhelmed. It's natural to want to give up and walk away. But I urge you, don't give up. Don't let go of the promises that God has made to you. Trust that He is working everything together for your good. Even in the waiting, even when you don't see the results immediately, know that God is behind the scenes orchestrating everything to bring you closer to His perfect will. Sometimes we want things to happen according to our own timelines. We pray for breakthroughs, for miracles, for answers, and when they don't come as quickly as we would like, doubt creeps in. But God's timing is not our timing. He sees the bigger picture, and His plans are always for our ultimate good. Trust that He is working things out for you, even when you can't see it. His delay is not denial. It's an invitation for you to trust Him more deeply. It's about the story of Job. In the midst of his trials, Job declared, "Though He slay me, yet will I trust in Him." Job 13:5. Job didn't understand why he was suffering, but he chose to trust. The trust became his anchor in the storm. When you trust in God, you are anchored to something that is unshakable, something that can never be taken from you. No matter what the enemy throws your way, no matter how fierce the storms of life may get, you are safe in God's hands. And when you trust in God, your heart changes. You no longer see life through the lens of fear or doubt. You begin to see everything with a renewed perspective. The things that once worried you, the things that seemed impossible, no longer have the power to You realize that God is bigger than your problems, that He has already gone before you and prepared the way. When you trust Him, you allow His peace to fill your heart and your mind. You begin to understand that even in the silence, even in the waiting, God is still at work. I know it's not always easy to trust. The world tells you to rely on your own strength, to figure things out on your own. But God calls us to do the opposite. He calls us to lean not on our own understanding, but to trust in His wisdom and His sovereignty. When we trust in God, we are acknowledging that He knows what is best for us, that His plans are better than anything we could ever imagine. And as we surrender to His will, He leads us down paths of peace, joy, and fulfillment that we could never find on our own. And in the waiting, in the struggle, there is a lesson to be learned. God is shaping you, molding you, preparing you for what He has ahead. It may feel like the doors are closing, like nothing is working out, but trust that every closed door is a step toward every setback is an opportunity for you to grow. And when the right door opens, when the breakthrough comes, you will look back and see how every step, every trial was leading you to something better. So I encourage you today, keep trusting, keep standing firm in faith. Trust in the waiting, trust in the uncertainty, trust in the promise that God is always with you. When you feel like giving up, remember that God has not given up on you. Your breakthrough is coming, and when it does, it will be greater than anything you could have imagined. If you're feeling discouraged, if you're in a season of waiting, I want you to know that God is right there with you. He sees your pain, He sees your heart, and He is working in ways that you cannot yet understand. But keep trusting, keep believing, because His promises are true and His timing is perfect. I want to invite you, if you're feeling led, to comment below God to affirm your trust in Him and what He is doing in your life. And if you haven't yet, I encourage you to subscribe to the channel and join this community of believers walking by faith, trusting in God's plan every step of the way. The journey of faith is not always easy, but it is always worth it. Keep trusting, keep walking, and watch as God works in ways you could never have imagined. Your breakthrough is coming. Trust Him, and you will see His glory revealed in your life. Let's pray together now, knowing that our God is faithful and trustworthy. He is with us in every moment, every trial, and He will lead us to victory. Trust in Him and watch what He will do in your life. Keep the faith, chosen ones. Your time is coming. As you walk through this life feeling the weight of the world around you, it's easy to forget that you were chosen for something greater. The noise of this world can drown out the still, small voice of God calling you, reminding you that you are not just any ordinary, you are a chosen one. This truth isn't just a title. It is a deep, divine calling that shapes who you are meant to be, and who you will be. The challenges you face may seem overwhelming, and the obstacles in front of you may feel impossible to overcome. Yet, in those moments of doubt, remember that you are not alone. The Creator of the universe has chosen you, and He will never leave you nor forsake you. His love for you is relentless, unwavering, and infinite. Even in the midst of your struggles, you are held securely in His hand. It is not by your own strength or ability that you stand today, but by the grace of God. His power is made perfect in your weakness. When you feel broken, He is your healer. When you feel lost, He is your guide. When the path ahead is unclear, He is your steady, unshakable foundation. And in moments of fear or uncertainty, His peace surrounds you, guarding your heart and mind. Know this, you are chosen because of His love, not because of your own perfection. You are not chosen because you are worthy in the eyes of the world, but because He sees something special in you. You are His masterpiece, created for a purpose, and in every moment of your life, He is with you, guiding you toward that purpose. Your life is not an accident, and your journey is not without meaning. Even in the seasons of waiting, in the moments when everything seems still, God is working. He is preparing you, shaping you, and refining you. The challenges you face today are part of the process of becoming who you were always meant to be. In those moments of hardship, trust that God is doing a new thing in your life. You may not see it now, but He is making a way where there seems to be no way. The path that God has set before you may not be easy, but it is a path that leads to peace, joy, and purpose. There will be times when you feel like giving up, when the weight of life becomes too much to bear. But in those moments, turn your eyes to Him. He's your strength, your refuge, and your protector. He will sustain you, even when you feel like you can't go on. His love will carry you through every trial, and His grace will enable you to rise again, no matter how many times you fall. The world may not understand you. It may reject you, judge you, or try to push you into its mold. But remember, you are not of this world. Your identity is found in Christ alone. You are a child of the King, a part of a royal priesthood, a holy nation. Your worth is not defined by the approval of others, but by the love of the one who created you. When you stand firm in this truth, nothing in this world can shake you. When life seems overwhelming and you are tempted to doubt the goodness of God, hold fast to His promises. He has not forgotten you. His plan for your life is perfect. Even if you can't see it right now, trust in His timing, His wisdom, and His guidance. He is leading you towards something greater, something far beyond what you can imagine. And when you feel like you're running on empty, when the passion and excitement of your dreams start to fade, remember that God is the source of all creativity and inspiration. He has placed desires in your heart, and He will provide the strength you need to bring them to life. Do not let the pressures of this world extinguish the fire within you. Lean on God, and He will breathe new life into every dream, every desire. Take a moment to reflect on the ways God has already been faithful in your life. Even in the darkest moments, He has been there, guiding you, comforting you, and providing for you. He has never failed you, and He never will. And in the future, as you continue to walk this path, He will continue to show up in ways that leave you in awe of His goodness. In every moment of our lives, we are called to surrender our plans to God, relinquishing our need to control the outcome of our lives. It can be difficult to let go of the desire to shape our future according to our own vision, especially when we face uncertainty or when things don't go as we expect. However, it is in these moments of surrender that we truly experience the depth of God's wisdom and faithfulness. Trusting God means believing that He knows what is best for us, even when the road ahead is unclear or when our plans seem to be falling apart. It means letting go of our own limited perspective and embracing the infinite possibilities He has in store for us. Surrendering control does not mean abandoning our dreams or dismissing our desires. Rather, it is an act of faith, choosing to entrust them to the one who is fully capable of bringing them to fruition in ways that exceed our understanding. Often we think that our way is the best way, but God's plans are always better than anything we could ever imagine. By surrendering our control, we open ourselves up to divine guidance, allowing God to lead us toward the fulfillment of our deepest desires in ways that we could never have orchestrated on our own. There will be times when the road ahead feels unclear, when the path we thought we were walking seems to have diverged. But it is precisely in these moments of uncertainty that God invites us to trust Him more deeply. He asks us to release our grip on the need for perfection or certainty, to trust that He is with us even in the unknown, and that His purposes for our lives are always for our good. Even if we can't see the way forward, we can rest in the knowledge that He is guiding us step by step. Letting go of control can be a vulnerable and uncomfortable process, but it is in that vulnerability that we learn to rely on God's strength, wisdom, and provision. We may not always understand why certain things happen or why some dreams seem delayed, but when we surrender our plans to God, we are acknowledging that His timing and ways are perfect. He is not bound by the limitations of time and space as we are, and He is able to bring about outcomes that are far greater than what we could ever imagine or plan for us. Surrendering control also means releasing the need for approval, validation, or success by worldly standards. It means aligning our desires with God's will and trusting that, in His perfect plan, our lives will bear fruit in ways that bring Him glory. It is not about abandoning our ambitions or aspirations, but about recognizing that God's will for us is far more expansive than our own limited understanding. When we surrender our plans, we are opening ourselves up to the possibility of far greater things that are not constrained by our human limitations. Trusting God with our plans also allows us to experience true peace. When we are constantly striving to control every aspect of our lives, we often find ourselves anxious, restless, and weary. But when we choose to trust God and surrender our need for control, we find rest for our soul. We can let go of the pressure to make everything happen in our own time and instead rest in the assurance that God is working behind the scenes, orchestrating everything for our good and His glory. Surrendering our plans to God requires daily practice and ongoing trust. It's not a one-time decision, but a continual process of choosing to release our desires and ambitions into His hands. It means choosing to live with open hands, allowing Him to shape our lives and guide us along the path He has set for us. As we walk in surrender, we learn to trust His timing, His provision, and His wisdom, knowing that He is always working for our good. And in doing so, we open ourselves to a life of greater purpose, peace, and fulfillment than we could have ever achieved on our own. In the end, surrendering control doesn't mean we stop dreaming, striving, or pursuing the desires of our hearts. It means that we entrust them to God with a heart of faith, knowing that He's the one who can bring them to life in ways that are beyond our wildest. When we surrender our plans, we make space for God to work in ways we could never have imagined. And that is where the true beauty and fulfillment of life are found. As you walk in this trust, remember that you are not alone. You are surrounded by a community of believers who are walking the same path. And even when the road feels lonely, know that God is with you every step of the way. He has placed people in your life to encourage you, to walk alongside you, and to remind you of His love. You are never truly alone. Your journey may be difficult, but it is not without purpose. You were chosen for such a time as this. And as you continue to trust in God, He will lead you into a future full of hope, peace, and purpose. Your life will be a testimony of His goodness, His faithfulness, and His love. Others will see the light of Christ shining through you, and they too will be drawn to Him. So, as you continue on this journey, remember that you are chosen, you are loved, you are not alone, and you are held securely in the hands of a God who knows your name, who has a plan for your life, and who will never let you go. Trust in Him, and He will guide you into the fullness of the life He has prepared for you. If this message resonates with you, I invite you to comment God below and share this video with those who may need encouragement. And if you haven't already, please subscribe to our channel so we can continue to walk this journey together, growing in faith and trusting in the one who has chosen us. As we stand together in the vastness of existence, we recognize the profound truth that we are. A life filled with divine purpose, sculpted with the hands of the Creator, is not a mere happenstance, but a deliberate and loving act from the one who knows us more intimately than we know ourselves. Through every trial, through every moment of joy and sorrow, we are reminded that God's love is not fleeting, but eternal, and that love is the anchor that keeps us steadfast. We are called to trust in that love, to rest in the assurance that His plans for us surpass all our understanding. The life we live is not just about surviving or existing, but about embracing the greater purpose we were made for. It is about walking in a way that reflects His glory, a journey that is not always clear, but always filled with hope. The uncertainty we feel in our hearts, the questions we ask ourselves when life becomes overwhelming, are all part of the refining process. They are part of the transformation that we are undergoing as we walk the path of truth. We may not always understand why certain things happen or why life seems to be filled with challenges, but there is one thing we know for sure: God is with us. In the darkness, He is the light. In our confusion, He is our clarity, and when we feel weak, He is our strength. Every moment of struggle is an opportunity for growth, an invitation to lean deeper into His grace, to surrender our will to His. As His chosen ones, we must learn to trust not just in the good times, but in the times of struggle and hardship. It is easy to trust when everything is going as we hope, but true faith is tested in the moments when we feel lost, when the path ahead seems uncertain. And yet it is in those moments that God is closest to us. He has not abandoned us, nor will He ever. His presence is constant, His promises unbreakable. We are never alone, no matter how dark the world may seem. And so, as we walk through life, we must remember to always place our trust in Him, not in the fleeting circumstances of life, but in the unchanging nature of His. Life can often feel like a maze, full of twists and turns, and we may not always know which direction to take. But even in the confusion, even when we feel lost, we must remember that God is the one who directs our paths. Our job is not to figure it all out on our own, but to surrender each step to Him, trusting that He will guide us where we need to go. The key is not in knowing all the answers, but in trusting the one who does. We are chosen to walk by faith, not by sight, to live according to a higher calling that goes beyond our understanding. This calling, this divine purpose, is what gives us hope in the face of adversity, joy in the midst of sorrow, and peace in the midst of chaos. In moments of fear and uncertainty, we must always remember that perfect love has the power to cast out all fear. The love of God is vast, limitless, and all-encompassing, a love that knows no boundaries or conditions. It is this very love that provides us with the strength to face the storms of life, knowing that no matter what comes our way, we are never truly alone. God's love is not just a fleeting emotion or an abstract concept. It is a deep, abiding presence that surrounds us and fills us with peace. When fear tries to take hold of us, whether it's the fear of the unknown, the fear of failure, or the fear of rejection, we can stand firm in the knowledge that the love of God is greater than any fear. Fear often arises from a sense of isolation or uncertainty. But God's love reminds us that we are never abandoned, never left to face life's challenges alone. His love is constant, unwavering, and unshakable, a source of comfort and strength in times of trial. This love is not only a source of peace in our own hearts, but also the foundation of our identity as His chosen ones. It is through God's love that we are called to walk in freedom, not bound by the fears or limitations of this world. His love breaks every chain, frees us from the grip of anxiety, and invites us to live with confidence and assurance. As we walk in His love, we are reminded that we are His beloved children, chosen and set apart for a purpose greater than ourselves. The depth of God's love for us is truly incomprehensible. It was this love that was poured out for us on the cross, a love so deep and sacrificial that it surpasses all understanding. Jesus willingly laid down His life for us, enduring unimaginable pain and suffering, so that we could experience the fullness of God's love and grace. This act of love is the ultimate expression of God's heart toward us, and it is a love that we can never repay, but we can certainly embrace and allow to transform us from the inside out. It is this same love that calls us to live as His chosen ones. In a world that often feels uncertain and overwhelming, we are invited to walk in freedom, knowing that God's love is always with us, guiding us, protecting us, and giving us the courage to face whatever comes our way. His love empowers us to rise above fear, to stand firm in the face of adversity, and to live out our purpose with boldness and confidence. So when fear creeps in and threatens to steal our peace, let us remember that God's perfect love casts out all fear. Let us hold fast to the truth that we are His chosen ones, called to live in the fullness of His love, free from the chains of fear and secure in the knowledge that His love will always carry us through. There will be times when the weight of the world feels unbearable, when the burden of life feels too much to carry. But in those moments, it is crucial to remember that we do not carry that burden alone. God is our refuge, our fortress, our ever-present help in times of trouble. He is the one who strengthens us when we are weak, who lifts us up when we fall. We are never too far gone for His grace to reach us, never too broken for His healing touch to restore us. His love is a healing balm that makes us whole again, and it is in His embrace that we find our truth. In our journey as chosen ones, we are not only invited to receive God's love, but we are also called to actively share that love with others. This is not a passive experience, but an intentional and transformative way of living. Our lives are meant to be a reflection of the goodness and grace of God, living testimonies of His power to change lives, to heal brokenness, and to restore what was lost. The love that we have received from God is not something that we are meant to hoard for ourselves. Instead, it is meant to be passed on to those around us. When we embrace His love and walk in His light, we not only experience personal transformation, but also become vessels through which God's love can flow into the lives of others. It's important to understand that this transformation is not just about our words. It's not enough to speak of God's goodness. Our actions must align with the message we proclaim. People are drawn to the light we carry, not just because we talk about it, but because they see it in the way we live, in the way we treat others, and in the way we love those around us. The love of God should be so evident in our lives that it compels others to ask why we are different, to seek the source of our joy and peace. It is through our actions, our kindness, our patience, our willingness to forgive, that others will witness the reality of God's love. Our lives are to be a testimony, a living example of the power of His grace to change hearts. We are called to be more than passive recipients of God's love. We are called to be active participants in His mission on earth, to be salt and light in a world that is often dark and lost. Just as salt preserves and enhances flavor, our presence in the world is meant to bring flavor and preservation to those around us. As light in a dark world, we are to shine His love into the places that need it most, into the lives of the broken, the weary, and the hopeless. When we shine His light, we offer more than just warmth. We offer the possibility of transformation. We offer hope to the hopeless, peace to the restless, and guidance to the lost. Our purpose, then, is not simply to exist and go through life unnoticed. We are created to be a beacon of God's light, a living testimony to His love and His transformative power in a world that is often lost in darkness. We are called to stand out, to shine brightly and boldly, pointing others toward the love and hope that only God can offer. Our lives are meant to be a reflection of His love, a love that knows no bounds and is always ready to heal, restore, and bring peace. As we continue to walk the path of truth, we are also called to grow in wisdom and understanding, to deepen our relationship with God, and to live according to His will. Our faith is not a one-time decision, but a daily commitment to trust in His guidance, to follow where He leads, and to live out His purpose for our lives. The road ahead may not always be easy, but it will always be worth it. With each step, we draw closer to Him, becoming more like the person He created us. There will be moments when the road feels too long, when the obstacles seem insurmountable and the journey feels impossible. But in those moments, we must remember that God is not asking us to walk alone. He is with us every step of the way, walking beside us, guiding us, and lifting us up when we fall. The challenges we face are not meant to break us, but to strengthen us, to refine us, and to shape us into the people God has called us. As we walk the path of truth, we are being transformed into vessels of His love, instruments of His peace, and witnesses of His glory. In the end, the path we walk is not just about us. It is about fulfilling the purpose that God has placed on our lives, a purpose that extends far beyond our own desires and ambitions. We are chosen to serve, chosen to love, and as we continue on this journey, we can rest in the assurance that we are never alone. God is with us, guiding us, protecting us, and providing for us. His love is constant, and His grace is sufficient. So as we walk this path, let us do so with courage, with faith, and with a deep sense of purpose. Let us trust in His timing, knowing that He is working all things for our good. Let us walk boldly in the calling He has placed on our lives, knowing that we are chosen not because of our own worthiness, but because of His great love. And in all things, let us give glory to Him, for He is our Creator, our Sustainer, and our Redeemer. He is everything we need, and in Him we find our true purpose, our true identity, and our true. If you feel moved by this message, I invite you to comment God below and to subscribe to the Path of Truth channel. May your heart be filled with His peace, His love, and His purpose as you continue on your journey as His